Awesome. So I'm glad I was just simply giving some random details about the D103 Senior Advisor Webinar Series in time enough to position this for the recording. This program is coming to you tonight as a revival of that program. As I said, March was the last time that this program actually occurred. We did a session for district leadership, and we did a session on making certain that you're using free Toast hosts to actually promote your club. So that was the last webinar. A lot of the content for most of those sessions were taught by me. I had the idea, let me interview individuals, and I decided Shannon Wright would be someone who would be worthy of an interview for this evening. I say she is the inspiration for this program returning at this time. If she was not the catalyst or the inspiration for this program returning now, I am not 100% sure when I would have worked it back into my schedule. Yet it was a conversation that I was having with Shannon that inspired me to actually, initially I said, write a story about her. Yet writing a story, writing an article that I would have submitted to Toastmasters International to highlight her just seemed as if it was going to take forever and a day to get done. So that's why I invited her to this presentation for tonight. Shannon has been called leader and VPPR and PRM, as well as vocalist, and including Diva. Now, many of those previous titles you heard me mention that are associated with her, like the leader and the VPPR and the PRM, you're going to find out more tonight as to why those titles are highlighted with who she is and what she does. Tonight, we're going to learn more about Shannon. Shannon Wright, distinguished Toastmaster, who has a journey in Toastmaster. And she stated a quote when we were talking about 2 months ago that really said to me, I wanted to write an article about her. I know I'm going to get some of the wording jumbled up, yet she'll be able to tell you the quote exactly. And the quote that she spoke to me was, she initially thought she was joining Toastmasters to make friends, but in actuality, she joined Toastmaster and found a family. Now, as I said, I'm jumbling up some of the language. She's going to let you know more about that as soon as I bring her on camera. So everyone, before I bring her on, I just want to make sure that you're aware it would be best if you stay on mute. And when we get to the Q&A portion, and there will be several throughout, you are more than welcome to unmute and ask the question. I will also be monitoring the chat box, because as you hear Shannon talk, when she responds to some of the initial questions I have for her, you're going to find you want to know more as well. Therefore, you don't have to wait until we give you the official Q&A, if you will. Simply use the chat box down below. If that makes sense for you and you're okay with that, go ahead and give me one of those reaction icons. Give me a laugh, give me a hand clap, give me an agree, whichever one of those that work for you. I love the verbal agree. The agree, good, good. Awesome. Okay, well, what I am going to do now is bring to you none other than distinguished Toastmaster Shannon Wright. Yay! Good, good. And Shannon, you can come on camera for this. It'll be good for everyone to see you. Awesome. And as Shannon is coming onto the camera, I'm positioning myself with the first question. Shannon, also unmute your microphone because it looks like you're still muted.
Thank you for bearing with me.
You're okay? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, honey.
You're okay?
Yeah, my husband.
Hey, Sanchit.
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can. I can also see you as well. How's it going, Miss Wright?
It's going.
You're muted again.
Kind of random.
There you go.
Technology.
Right. Yeah. To everyone that you and I had a conversation a few months ago, maybe about 2-3 months ago, that you and I were having a conversation, and I had gotten inspired by you, and I had said I would write an article, and then we were working through the article, and I realized the article would take forever and a day to get done, get written, and get off to Toastmasters International, and I felt an urgency and a need to actually give you a platform for people to know more about you and your journey. So why don't we start with the initial question of what brought you to Toastmasters? Let everyone know that.
Okay, thank you. I was looking for a way to overcome my fear of public speaking. I happened to be looking on one of the websites that has different meetings. I think it was one of the meeting links that just describes different clubs, etc., or locations to go for public speaking. Toastmasters popped up, and I thought, Michigan Avenue Toastmasters sounds good. I'll go check it out, and it was history from there.
And thank you for saying which club that you belong to. And I was curious in knowing, when exactly did you become a member of Michigan Avenue Toastmasters Club?
That was November of 2016.
Okay. And did you visit any other clubs, or was Michigan Avenue Toastmasters the only club that you visited back in 2016?
It was the only club that I visited. I knew I wanted to be a part of that club because the stats for that club was that it was definitely a top club, that they were known as the most social Toastmaster club, and I thought that definitely sounds like one I'd want to be a part of.
Sounds great. And what I appreciate about that story, Shannon, is the fact that you initially found a club that resonated with you, that fits your personality, and it was the only club that you visited. It speaks to how whenever a lot of us in our clubs, we have guests that join, when they say they know that's the club for them and they join immediately like you did, that is a testament to the club. So thank you for saying, hey, listen, they were the most social club, and I knew I had to be a part of them, or they were at least known for that. Good. So here's something I'm curious about, Shannon. You joined in 2016. You joined because you wanted to improve your speaking skills. But then you eventually started to become an officer of the club, and I understand that there was a key hidden reason behind you becoming an officer of a club. Can you tell everyone about your journey into club leadership?
Well, I think after my icebreaker, I started to feel like, wow, I shared a lot of information in my icebreaker, and I wanted to run, and I think it was all over my face. And Don Campbell, who I call my Toastmaster dad, he came over to me and mentioned, hey, don't run, come back. He said, he took a phrase from my speech and gave me a title of a future speech, and then goaded me, and from there I thought, okay, I feel safe to come back. But then I decided to get on the board so I wouldn't chicken out and not come back after that. So it just really gave me a chance to have responsibility, to bring all of the club articles, gavel, banner, and be responsible for that, getting there early every week. And that, tied me into the club pretty nicely. So.
If only, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking if only so many of our newer members would think the same way, Don't be afraid. Don't chicken out. Don't run away. Take on a leadership role. That is how you're more apt to be accountable to attend and accountable to actually meet your own personal goals. Now, Shannon, that was 2016 when you joined. Did you actually become a club officer in the 2016 year, or did that happen a few years later? Did you? Okay.
I came in
Approximately
the 2016 year, and just enough time for it to be a full 6 months and to count, because someone was moving back home, which was abroad, and it opened up an opportunity for me, which normally I think they're in those roles in our club for a year. So it really worked out in my favor.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it sounds like that it did work out in your favor there. Okay, so then 6 months. And I like how you said a full 6 months you were able to be in that leadership role, being at the club level. And then you eventually became a district leader. And I can recall, I think it might have been my first time meeting you, Shannon. It was literally at a club officer training session. And I want to say it was around 2016, 2017. I think perhaps you were VP PR at the time. And you and I were having, it was downtown. I believe it was downtown at Northern Trust.
Yes, okay. I remember we would meet there, yes.
Yeah, Northern Trust, and you and I were having a conversation about public relation manager.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and everyone, you may not know that when you move into district leadership, once you're out of the club environment and you decide to move into district leadership, some of the district leadership roles are elected and other district leadership roles are appointed. For instance, when I was the district director, I had to get elected into that role, and that happened at the annual conference, which is what it's now called, but it used to be called the spring conference. So that conference that happened in April, usually there's the election for the district officers, and I got elected into the role of district director. Yet Shannon campaigned a year and a half before becoming appointed. She was appointed as public relation manager. Remember I said I met Shannon at a club officer training. She was a vice president of public relations. She shared with me then that she was interested in the role of vice president, or she was interested in the role, rather, of public relation manager due to being a VP PR, and she wanted to know how could she become the PRM, public relation manager, for District 103. And I gave her some insight and let her know, well, of course, we're in the midst of the year. There's already a PRM appointed for 2016, 2017, or for 2017, 2018, rather. That was the year when I was district director. And I told her, I will pass your name on to the individual who gets elected district director for the next year. So for a couple of months, I had to hold on to Shannon's name. And I had to wait until after the April elections to actually see who was going to be the next district director. And the next district director, who happened to be the club growth director the year I was district director, became Don Williams. And Don Williams became the district director for District 103, the second district director, and that meant that Shannon became the second public relation manager for District 103. We're still a fairly new district, and Shannon came into the role with creativity ablazing, y'all. She was excited about the role of public relation manager, and she did some awesome things. Shannon, I want you to tell everyone right now, what was that experience like being appointed as the public relation manager? And also let them know some of the initiatives, some of the goals, some of the things that you were able to accomplish in that role, especially working in partnership with the vice presidents of public relations.
Thank you, Cassandra. Yes, it was wonderful to come into that role. Initially, I wanted to devour the manual because I felt if I understand my role, I can't go wrong. So with it being a new district, it sort of felt like even though there was a PR manager before, there was no foundation yet. So I believe it was just the first thing was to develop this file system, the foundation, so that I could pass on to the next the public relations manager so that they would have a successful opportunity sliding into the role as well. So for me, it was an opportunity to take a look at the district, to think about our brand, think about Toastmasters brand, and to make sure we're on par with the brand identity in the sense of the logos, the coloring of our district, etc., as well as the images. So it was wonderful that the managers and the executives were willing to allow me to photograph all of them and set up our website so that it was professional and our district represented the great Chicago area, and that was a wonderful experience. Everyone complied and we had a wonderful time. Over a couple of the meetings, we were doing the photographs and then uploading all of those for the website. And then secondly was an opportunity to work with the different events going on, like the spring conference, et cetera, working with the chairs for that and helping to develop one of the cool things was to develop the logo for the conference. That was a really fun experience. And getting our proclamation letters from the mayor. Those were some of the highlights of the experience, and then working with the international conference that ended up being in Chicago the year that I was public relations manager as well. So those were a couple highlights that I can think of.
Well, those were a lot of nice highlights. As a matter of fact, I wore that T-shirt just recently when I recorded a promotional video for the Train the Trainer event. I was able to wear one of the two. I couldn't find the second one. I know where it is now, but at the time I was trying to get those videos done, and I was like, I need wardrobe. Oh, I have my District 103 T-shirt. So I was able to wear that. Yeah, and those are great logos, great images, and I love the fact that you were able to actually spearhead that, get that created, and work with Toastmasters International, where they have given District 103 permission to have our very own special two special logos that we can always use for our annual conferences. And now, of course, they put the stipulation out there, it can only be used for the annual conference, but I slid it into my Train the Trainer video because I love it, and it represents, like you said, it represents Chicago, and it represents our great district, and it's because of you that we have that. So thank you very much.
Welcome. I heard it was a first for Toastmasters to approve something like that, but I mean, it was my goal, and when I pitched them, was that each city would have their own skyline with their own logos for their conferences. We'll see what happens, but we definitely have ours.
Yes, we do.
And then the final thing, Cassandra, was leaving some transition files for, like I said, the next public relations manager, so that it would begin to be a seamless process as we pass the torch from public relations manager to public relations manager. So.
Gotcha. And I'll touch on transition and succession a little later because we know we're getting ready to come into the last half of our club year, meaning we're almost done officially with 6 months of being a club officer. For those of us who are on the call tonight that are club officers, we need to start thinking about succession planning and transitions. So I'm glad you brought that up, Shannon, and we'll touch on that again a little later. Sure. Before we go into the next segment, though, Shannon, I want to open the floor up to the audience. I want to see if the audience has any questions for you right now based on the questions they've heard me ask or the information they heard you share. So members of the audience, if you do have a question for Shannon right now, go ahead and raise your hand. There's in the reaction icon, there's a raised hand icon. That way I'll have a visual that you have a question for Shannon. Or you can unmute your microphone as well. So you can unmute your phone and ask the question if you have a question for her. Okay, I'm looking, Shannon. Yeah, I don't see any hands being raised. I also don't hear any voices yet for questions, which means they'll come back with questions in a moment, or we'll come back to our questions and we'll allow the audience to ask you a few more in a moment. So Shannon, we were talking about leadership, and I mentioned when I met you and the conversation we had then that eventually led a year and a half later to you taking on, or not quite a year and a half later, because if I met you, I'm really thinking, Shannon, that I met you when I was Program Quality Director for District 103. I don't think I was District Director yet.
No, I think you're right, because I remember seeing your campaign material in the back of the room and thinking, she's really got some great stuff here. So, yes,
yep.
You're right.
Yeah. So then
there was actually, it was a speech contest that we met at.
Ah, okay. There we go. It was some event. I knew it was a district-wide event that we were at. And I knew at the time when you and I talked about that PRM role, I knew when I became district director that my public relation manager was going to be Anise Anderson. She was the first public relation manager for the district. So because I already knew that, I said, well, I will definitely pass your name on to whomever may be the next district director from there, and that's how you were able to work with Don. Now, yes. I understand when you were public relation manager, you held special monthly sessions with vice presidents of public relations of all the clubs, yes. And those who could attend, they attended. Do I remember that you guys were on a boat ride at one point?
Oh yes, we brought the first Toastmaster onto first Toastmaster meeting onto one of the Chicago river boats. So we had a clearance to do it on the taxi on the river. So it was really nice. We did that one winter. And yes, I would actually meet with the vice presidents of public relations throughout the whole district. Actually, right here on Free Conference Call. We would meet once a month there. I had them into my home. We had paint parties, karaoke parties, dinners together, whatever was going to help us be unified and cohesive and to really work together to advance the district. And I really enjoyed working with all of the vice presidents of public relations throughout the district.
Oh, that's so cool. That is cool. And you did a high-performance leadership project as well. I know the HPL is something that still exists. High-performance leadership project was a part of the traditional program, and now that the traditional program is gone, the high-performance leadership project is still around. It shows up for everyone in Level 5. It's not in every path, or I should say, it's not in every path. We have 11 paths and pathways. Only a few of those paths still show the High Performance Leadership Project. Yet you did a High Performance Leadership Project that was a big project for District 103. It also connected to a historical perspective with Toastmasters International, and you made history again right here in District 103. Can you give everyone some insight as to that high-performance leadership project I'm talking about, Shannon?
Yes, I really was excited to learn about International Women's Day. And then, as we know, 2018 was just an absolute blowout year for Toastmasters for women, in Toastmasters for women. So at that point, I started thinking, this is what my high-performance leadership project is going to be. I just really kicked into gear, got in touch with Mark Foley, the president of Toastmasters International. At the time, she got on board, sent me some great videos, and helped me welcome everyone for that high-performance leadership project. At the end of the conference, the day of, sorry, it's just drawing a blank all of a sudden. Ramona J. Smith won the World Speaking Contest. I talked with her about being our keynote for the spring conference, but also asked her to be a part of my high performance leadership project, which she clued in to do. And also it was Cheryl Roush. Let's see, who was the other person? One more person. Cheryl Roush. And
Someone from India, was it?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It was Sarah Khan, so another award-winning Toastmaster. So what was wonderful about this particular HTML project, it was highlighting the fact that 3 women won that year in the World Speech Contest. And that was just an incredible highlight that I wanted to highlight for Toastmasters, as well as have the female president welcome everyone to that conference. We had a great turnout. We did it at AT&T downtown. It was wonderful. Everyone came dressed in their international attire. It was a great success and a great experience. And we had an opportunity to do the balance for better. So it was a wonderful experience.
Nice. And that was for International Women's Day, which is an international holiday, right?
Every March 8th, I believe it is.
Okay, March 8th. Wow. Making the attempt. March 8th this year was a Sunday. I remember because March 7th was a Saturday, and we had done the D103 Educational Forum to highlight the preferred trainers from last year. The 8th being a Sunday was International Women's Day, and I'm thinking COVID-19 ended up happening right after that. Everything got shut down, and we did not get a chance to do it this year. That's exactly what I'm alluding to. Yeah, so I'm glad that that particular program, which you created, is something now that is a part of the District 103 legacy that we can continue to bring back, keep it going, make certain that it's something we do every year. And who knows? Maybe some other members can get an HPL credit for doing it, right?
Absolutely. Well, I can certainly give them the information. I want to also highlight that not only was it important to highlight those wins for Toastmasters that year, but also to express how women are received around the world as Toastmasters. So it was wonderful to get international perspectives, to get the perspective from Ramona J. Smith as she travels from country to country, how people receive her, what's important to them. So it gave us a clue as to what it would be like when we began to speak around the world as Toastmasters, because as you know, we can go to any club and we're received to speak. It's a great networking opportunity internationally, so it was wonderful to get their perspective, to talk about firsts. Cheryl Roush has so much history for Toastmasters. She gave us an opportunity to hear about when the first woman became a part of Toastmasters, because as we know, there was a time when there were no women in Toastmasters, and women were not allowed, let alone there were also no minorities at that time. And the year that the women won, it was 3 minorities who won. So Toastmasters was being highlighted in 2 incredible ways, and it was just a win all the way around for the High Performance Leadership Project. But thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. Listen, as I've told people since the start of this session thus far, you inspired me in that conversation, and I was thinking back. I had all those memories coming back. I'm like, I remember the first time I met you. I remember when we had conversations about this. I remember that particular event, and I really remember that event because I wasn't able to attend. I was traveling. I was on the road teaching, and I wasn't in Chicago to be able to attend, and I kept hearing how well the event was and how proud members were to be a part of something that was so historical. And that was all thanks to you. But what I didn't realize was that it was your high performance leadership project.
Yes. Yes. And so Ivory Gwen was very pivotal in making sure that that happened. I want to give a shout out to Ivory Gwen. I want to give a shout out to Benita Barkley, who is my mentor, who has been so incredible. All of them helped me pull that together. But certainly, as you know, Toastmasters is a family. Everyone pitched in. The men came and served the women while the women were there to be. So they did all of my hanging of all of the banners and everything for me, and serving the cake and everything. So it was wonderful. We all came together.
See what I missed? You see what I missed? I miss seeing that. I miss seeing that. You know what? I'm glad that you gave kudos to Ivory. Everyone, I know Ivory is on the call this evening, and I want everyone to use any one of those reaction icons. You mentioned Benitha as well. I'm not sure if Benitha is on the line, but I want to make sure that we give a round of applause or smiley face or some action, some reaction icon for Ivory and for Benitha for the support and for everyone. So it's not just for those two, but it's for everyone that she recognized that helped her with that event. Yeah, I'm glad, everyone, that Shannon brought up Benitha. And that is because Shannon considers Benitha to be her mentor. You've already heard her say that at least twice tonight. Benitha is her mentor. And then she also mentioned someone else, and I don't know, everyone, if you caught this, yet she also said she has a Toastmaster dad, and that's Don Campbell. Don and Benitha have been in Shannon's corner since she arrived in Michigan Avenue Toastmasters Club. And for those of you that were here at the beginning of Shannon's story, you heard when she said she delivered her icebreaker speech, and her Toastmaster dad came up to her and told her, "Don't run, kid, come back." And yeah, I want Shannon to talk about Benitha and Don, and talk about them in a good way here. Meaning, I want you to share with us, Shannon, what has been their impact on your Toastmaster life. We know that you're still here. You are also a distinguished Toastmaster. So you went from delivering an icebreaker speech to now being a distinguished Toastmaster. Somewhere along the line, their support, I'm sure, was very beneficial. Can you share more with us about them and about that situation? How has that been helpful for you? And you're muted, by the way.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can.
They were with me all along the way. It's because of them that I believe I got through this, along with other people who pitched in once I got to the district level, and there were a couple of other people like Farzana, Shohan, and the executive team. But Benitha in particular, when I came to Toastmasters and I saw Benitha across the room, I just saw her energy. I felt her energy. I felt like we would naturally have met outside of Toastmasters. She was just that magnetic to me, and someone who sees you, who believes in you, and you can tell just in her conversations with people. So we had the opportunity to select our own mentors, and she was my #1 pick. It was like, it's definitely Benitha. And the reason I chose Benitha is she is a mover and shaker. She loves people, she loves to help people, and I thought that she would definitely be someone to help guide me along my way. She gave me the pathway to DTM. She told me what was best. She advised me all along the way. What I appreciated is because of her standards that she set for me as my mentor, I spoke at an average of about 2 times a week. And that helped me get through the various programs and also become the Triple Crown winner at each phase of my journey, because it was mapped out for me in the back of my book. I just checked off everything, dates as I was going along, and had my plan, but it's a testimony to having a great mentor. Don helped me because after every speech, he was always there. If I looked over at Don, he was giving the thumbs up. He's like, "Oh, come on, kiddo." And if I felt so nervous, I would just peek over at Don, and he was right there, ready to go. And after it was over, he would always look over and be like, "You killed it, kiddo," whatever. You know, I just really loved how he bought into my success in Toastmasters, and it was all genuine, and I appreciated that so much. What I appreciate about the experience along the way was that Toastmasters provided a safe place for me to fail. And I could tell you about a major moment where I failed and what that felt like, but just the way they captured me. You know, I didn't fall completely. I had an opportunity to receive the feedback, and I'll give you a quick example of what happened. I was speaking at Loyola. It was my first time speaking at Loyola at that club, and I didn't know that I was the only one on the bill for the night. It was I thought I'm going to be with other people. And it happened to be one of those very dry speeches in the book where you have to have slides and all this. And I was not quite ready for all of that, right? I had just gotten down the, beginning, middle, ending, and all these different things. So basically, I froze one moment in the presentation because it just looked like so much information to remember. I had practiced and practiced, but when I got there, it felt so different. Someone had a recorder going on the table, photographing from, underneath. I was like, oh, that's a bad angle, and I don't want to be photographed anyway. So many distractions. So the point is, I completely froze. I just stopped and looked at the audience and said, I'm terrified. This is exactly the reason I did not want to do public speaking for a moment like this. And here it is. Here it is, everybody. And I want to run out of this room, but I'm not going to run. And I just was really honest with them. And there were all of these new visitors in the back, and they were talking about how they were so excited to come to Toastmasters. And as I was speaking, I kept thinking, the visitors have me for the night, and I'm still struggling to speak myself. And what was so incredible is at the time of the evaluation, like I said, which I wanted to run out for, everyone was just talking about how brave it was to just say what I felt in that moment, that was powerful. And all of the guests were saying this was the best meeting we'd been to. We thought it was going to come and be all of these polished speakers, and we're going to feel so unable to do this. And here was this failure tonight. No, I'm just kidding. Here was this woman who said how afraid she was. And they ended up, I think they ended up joining Loyola that night. And what was so funny is that Toastmasters, even our failures are even a win. Once I saw what it felt like to completely bomb after thinking I had something all down, I no longer needed to be afraid. I've already hit the bottom, because that was bottom for me, at Loyola no less, being the only one speaking for the night. So I felt it infused me with a lot more courage, and I just say anyone should feel safe to come to Toastmasters to learn to overcome the fear of public speaking. So it also is a tribute to what Benita has shared with me. It's okay. It's a safe place to fail. And again, it's all of that guidance along the way that gives one the courage to keep going. And that's how I ended up being ATM. Just had a great team of people behind me.
Nice, nice, along the way. Everyone, do me a favor. If you are either in the chat box or if you have the reaction icon, I simply want to know, do you also have support in Toastmaster? Do you have a Toastmaster mentor or mentors? Do you have people around you that help to support you going through your journey in Toastmasters? Thanks, T. I see your thumbs up there. Thanks, Tam. I see those thumbs up. I know there's some messages that have come into the chat box here, so let me open that up so I can see those messages. Thanks, Rick. I see that thumbs up. As the reactions are coming in, I am very much in tune with the fact of what Shannon said, everyone. She was a new member who was able to select her mentor in the club where she joined. Now, that's rare. And Shannon, I say that's rare because I know in my home club, our mentors or our new members don't really get a chance to select. They can make somewhat of a request, but it just depends because we look to pair people based on connection and personality. You were able to select because of those reasons. And I think for clubs that may not have a mentor program in place, you want to consider, listen to what Shannon is saying and listen to what Shannon is describing with her journey, because she had Benita there, and then she had the indirect mentor of Don, because notice she said she selected Benita, but Don was always there. He was giving her the thumbs up. He was encouraging her. He was saying, kiddo, keep at it. Don't run. He was definitely.
He did that for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yet notice He didn't have to be assigned as your mentor to still give you encouragement and to still cheer you on. And that's the other side of your message that I wanted to point out for everyone that I'm picking up on, that I think we all should take away from, and that is, even if we are not assigned as a mentor to a brand new member in our club, we can still be encouraging and helpful to those new members. So think about everyone, the new members that are in your club, and think about where they're starting now and where they can end up because you've helped to inspire, encourage, motivate, and challenge them. Because remember, Don challenged Shannon, and Shannon received the challenge. He said, "Don't run, kiddo, come back." And she did, and she became an officer in order to stay. That's good. I'm looking.
Someone, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Shannon, because I'm looking at the chat box. Go ahead.
He was also someone it was wonderful to run my speech by him prior to giving it, to ask for feedback, and not only Don, but Jerome McCall, several people who were in the club at the time, Jasmina Jahovic. We had so many great speakers who also helped give feedback and things like that. So as you talk about mentoring, when we give that evaluation or feedback after every speech, we also have a little window to give some feedback to help people along their journey. And so I would say that Michigan Avenue Toastmasters, we would speak in front of roughly 40 people a week, so that's a lot of great feedback.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of feedback, I'm looking at the chat box here, and I see some feedback came in from Linda. Linda had mentioned when I asked that question about the mentoring, if you have it, if you, in your club, if you have that support, and she had mentioned, she said, not too much, but she thinks she can say on a broad scale, yes. Not so much the personal, but on a broad scale, yes. She also mentioned that Don Campbell was her area director last year. So look at that. Don's getting around, inspiring individuals. And I remember, Don was the area director last year. And I also see here, Linda says, I've been a mentor to Anise Anderson. Look at that connection, right? I brought up Anise as the first public relation manager for District 103, and Linda has had the opportunity to be a mentor to Anise, which many people on this call, I'm sure, have been mentored by Anise. I've even been mentored by Anise, having the opportunity to work with her. Yeah, when she was the public relation manager, when she was a division director, it's cool. So look at those connections.
Incredible.
Yeah, well, everyone has incredible people around them, and thank you, Shannon, for letting us know tonight many of yours. And as I pointed out, I really appreciated hearing the story about Benita and Don, and even thank you for letting us know about your fail. My first boss, Shannon, used to tell us, I worked at a nonprofit foundation as my first professional job. And it was a very small staff. There were only 4 of us, including my boss, who was the executive director. And speaking of leadership, he was an awesome leader. He managed in a way that he led, and he led in a way that he would prepare us for where we would go to next. And one of the things that he would always tell us was the fact that mistakes are not a bad thing. You can learn more from your mistakes. You can learn more from your failures than you can ever learn from your successes. Don't be afraid to make those mistakes, and don't be afraid to have those failures. So I'm glad that you pointed out the story at Loyola and how it turned out, and the compliments that people got. And the reason they were able to give you those compliments was because they got something from it. They learned. They had a takeaway. And speaking of takeaways, what would you say are some of your accomplishments in Toastmasters?
I would say accomplishing DTM within 2.5 years was a major accomplishment. Really, continuing to come back was an accomplishment because, to be honest with you, when I came to Toastmasters, what I thought was the competent communicator manual was all I wanted to do. That's all I came to do. That's all I thought I was going to do. I remember talking to Lisa Rickerich, who was one of my friends who joined with me. We both were from Piven, and she joined in Toastmasters at the same time. And my thinking was, I just want to get through the 10 speeches. And once I got through the 10 speeches, I didn't have enough. I wanted more. So I stuck around and I kept going. And I got a chance to see what it would be like to finish. I thought, I don't want to have anything to do with being a district leader right now. I just want to focus on being a Toastmaster. And then once I saw the importance of leadership, and I appreciate so much learning Toastmasters' method of servant leadership and having that opportunity to serve. So I had an opportunity to serve the district and to influence vice presidents of public relations in their efforts in their own private clubs, own personal clubs rather. I had an opportunity to see what I'm made of, really, because there were times, even as a district leader, when you're dealing with different personalities, you're learning to get, you're learning to effectively communicate at so many different levels at that level, and I had an opportunity to learn so much. I believe that those things have helped me in such a way I'll be able to carry them on even outside of Toastmasters. But I had an opportunity to make some lifelong friends. That definitely is important because of just how much time we spend now, the things that we are doing together, things that we dream of accomplishing together. It really means a lot to, as I said to you before, I came thinking I'm going to learn to overcome my fear of public speaking, do some networking, have some great social events afterwards, but I gained so much more than that. I had an opportunity to work with the president of Toastmasters at that time, as well as the world speech leader or speech winner at that time, and have an opportunity to hear some of their experiences so that I could catch a vision again for myself. But it was just, like I said, I'm still learning. Thus far, I feel encouraged by what I have had an opportunity to gain and learn in my experience with Toastmasters, but also how I can help those who are coming up behind me with my experiences, with my stories, having an opportunity to help guide someone, like you said, with high-performance leadership. So for me, it's an opportunity to pass on what I've been given so that I can help the next person. So this is a great cyclical process that Toastmasters has, and I'm in the cycle, so it's encouraging.
Nice. Well, while you were speaking, Shannon, many of the points that were shared a few moments before then, and even while you were sharing, there were some comments that came into the chat box, and I want to share that someone gave you, Linda actually gave you a compliment, and she said, that was absolutely a great accomplishment, Shannon. Being able to achieve your DTM in 2 years, that is truly an accomplishment. And I know with you having the opportunity of being able to speak every single week, and I know you had mentioned before that you were speaking 2 times in a week, but I think you meant 2 times in a month at least?
No, I meant to tell you also, it was 2 times in a week, no, because I also mentored Expedia Corporate's Toastmasters Club. So being a part of those other clubs, also helping with Loyola when Loyola was getting its first club, Loyola Chicago, Benita was the one who actually who spearheaded that, but I also came along and was there for some of their first meetings. So it was an opportunity to speak at 3-4 different locations with new clubs who needed to fill their agenda. But it was working hard to prepare those speeches so that I could deliver them, whether it was delivering the same speech in 2 different clubs to get the feedback or what have you. But yes, it was at about 2 speeches a week once I really hunkered down to meet this goal. So, yeah.
All right, then. I got the clarification I was looking for. I was like, well, I know Michigan Avenue was meeting once a week at least. Did she mean twice in a week or twice in a month? No, you meant twice in a week. And that's good.
Tuesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays because of Expedia's meeting. And theirs was at lunchtime. So I had an evening meeting with Toastmasters, Michigan Avenue Toastmasters, and then I also guest spoke at other clubs. So when you asked if I visited other clubs, that came after I was a Toastmaster. I would actually call other clubs to sign up to speak if they needed support on their own agendas. So yes.
Look at that. And everyone noticed that she gave us some more insight here. I'm not sure if you were picking up on that. Whether you're a new Toastmaster member or a seasoned Toastmaster member, notice she was stepping outside of her club and having other outside speaking opportunities. In District 103, we have that club ambassador program that allows you to be able to visit other clubs and have those opportunities in which to speak. Shannon also alluded to the fact that she helped a new club, or she was club sponsor. So there's an opportunity in District 103, everyone. Club mentor, there we go. So look, club mentor goes along with club sponsor, which goes in along with club coach. So there are many opportunities, everyone. If you're looking for leadership in a way that helps to stretch and grow you, take Shannon as an example. She did club mentor. You can become a club sponsor, or you can become a club coach, and you can also participate in the club ambassador program. You have different ways in which to grow both in the area of leadership as well as communication, and Shannon is a testament to that. And speaking of that testament, Shannon, Rick says, that is great, Shannon. Yeah, he says, that's great, Shannon, that you got your DTM within 2 years, and I am going to do the same. So look at you, Shannon, already inspiring Rick. He said he's getting his. Now, she got hers in 2 years in the traditional program. I'm thinking, how on earth did you do that? It took me 10 years both times. Yeah, but pathways. Go ahead, Shannon. No, you go ahead.
I was going to add the importance of why I chose to go to other clubs. It's so important to get out of your comfort zone and your comfort club, or your club where you're most comfortable, because you don't know the people you're going to be speaking in front of. It gives you an opportunity to speak before maybe more advanced clubs, maybe clubs where it's just a different vibe altogether. You're going to get a well-rounded experience of feedback, not to mention you're getting an opportunity to speak to audiences who you don't know, and it's easier to speak to people that you feel safest with, but when you have an opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone and go into a club you don't know anyone, that feedback seems to be more valuable to me because they don't have a frame of reference. If anything that I've done in the past is just what I'm providing for them in my speech in this moment, and to me that's invaluable feedback to your journey.
So true, so true. And I'm loving the fact that you're bringing up feedback, because I see Herbert put in the chat box about Don. You were able to talk about Don and talk about the encouragement he gave you. Herbert made a comment, and he says, yes, Don C. has been a mega magnificent mentor. Ooh, I'm loving them triple M's. A mega magnificent mentor of influence for me as well. He has been a sage of encouragement. Look at that.
He really
Kudos.
is. And I'll tell you what I appreciate about Don is he's looking for something valuable in each speech for every person. So at every speech, he writes down highlights from people's speeches, and then that week he sends you an article regarding it. He finds out what you're interested in doing. So he's invested in, I say he's my Toastmaster dad, and he's not only my Toastmaster dad, like Herbert said. Most everyone in the club calls him their Toastmaster dad. So they're not here to speak to it, but I can speak to the fact that he really has invested himself in the club, and he listens very well. He's paying attention to everything that you're sharing in your speech and writing notes and then following up that week, or even giving you ideas for your next speech. So that's what I appreciate about his contribution to our club.
Okay, cool. That is, you know what, and that's one, I love the fact that, as you said, he's invested. He's making certain that he's sharing not only the comments that helps for that particular speech, he's giving you information for going further and stretching your knowledge as well by sharing info. Don, that applause that you see up there, that's for you, man. That is for you. Thank you for that. Thank you for being who you are. Now, everyone, I want to take a pause at this point. I want to make sure that you have a chance to ask any questions that have come to mind for you right now. If you have something that you want to ask Shannon, go ahead and unmute your microphone to ask her. And if you're on video camera, go ahead and cut your camera feed so that way it's only Shannon and I on camera. I see in the comments, I think this is from Linda, Shannon. It says, okay, have you ever competed in any competitions? Yes, it's from Linda.
Yes, I
Go
have.
ahead and share more details.
I actually
Okay.
won a couple and was really encouraged by that. So it definitely at Michigan Avenue Toastmasters, as well as we did a couple at Loyola. So yes.
How?
You went out. I didn't hear you. Cassandra? Uh-oh. Cassandra, we can't hear you. Did it randomly mute you like it randomly muted me? Can't hear you. Uh-oh. Can't hear you. I can hear Cheryl Lane.
Cool.
I can hear Cheryl Lane.
I think it's just her system. It's her computer that's doing it.
Okay. Can't hear you, Cassandra. Cassandra's mic went out. Nope. Technology. She'll come back. You said wait a minute a while ago.
All right. Can you hear me?
You're back.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're hearing me because I'm calling in now through my phone.
Good, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so I was in the middle of actually saying, and I think I was asking you, Shannon, about the speech contest experience. How did you find the speech contest experience?
I thought it was wonderful. The speech contests that I participated in were the table topic contests. Both times where I won, in one case I won, and that was at Michigan Avenue Toastmasters. What I appreciated about that experience was being on the spot with having no idea what you were going to be speaking about, speaking extemporaneously for 3 minutes, or 2 minutes rather, and you're in a competition. I'm thinking, what is going on? What am I doing here? And when I wanted to chicken out with that as well, it was just, once again, I think they kept me locked at the door, like you're not going anywhere, you're going to participate. And then I won one of them, and I was just elated by that experience because it's a testimony of feeling so fearful and going and doing it afraid, and actually winning is just a really encouraging experience. So that journey is invaluable to me.
Wonderful. And I'm glad that each time, Shannon, you talk about a time where you could have chickened out and ran away, you actually stayed. And many times you stayed because someone else was there to be behind you and hold you up, or they were there to grab you by the arm and say, come on, we're going to do this. You're going to continue to do this. So it sounds like you not only figured out that you have a support system around you so you can continue to move forward with the things that you're fearful of, yet at some point it sounds like you found the strength within to stand up to your own fears. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yes. I'm joking quite a bit about it, but the truth is the process is in and of itself moves you through the system. It's just having the support system of people who are invested in their own communication skills and leadership skills, being a great example for you, as well as you having an opportunity to lead and prove your own worth and value in the club and in the district, et cetera. That gives you courage to keep going in and of itself. But for the simple fact that most people say they'd rather die than public speak, it gives you an idea of how challenging it is when you are learning how to best express your ideas in a way that it is effectively communicated and it benefits the hearer, as well as you finding a way to organize your speech and be about your purpose, which was my ultimate goal at the end, so that I could accomplish another mission that I had in mind. So Toastmasters gave me that incubator to learn and progress in and grow with those around me. Sanchit Chitri is another person who stands out to me. We joined together. We call ourselves Toastmaster Twins. At the time, Kailas, who moved back out of the country, was very integral, a part of it. Ali, I can't say his last name. He went back to the Middle East. There were several people who were a part of this who also gave me an opportunity to see that when you're an expat, Toastmasters is an essential place to have on your Rolodex or your contacts or whatever you keep your information in, because when you go to those countries, you instantly have an affinity group. You have a group where you can go and find immediate family and a place to speak and be received. So that also helps keep me encouraged and coming back to Toastmasters. It's just so many different cultures, international experiences. I loved it. I love it.
Yeah. I was getting ready to say, loved. Aren't you still with us? You're still a Toastmaster, right?
Along the way. Well, yes, I am, but Pathways is a new step because it's a whole different platform, and I'm looking at the next level. I know we'll get to that a little bit later in this interview, but yes, my experience along the way, I've loved every bit of it because of what it has produced in me to go forward as I step forward into some other aspirations, as I speak more about my own story, as I step on my own platform. It was great to have my start in Toastmasters, Piven Theater, Second City. All of this has helped in my whole process.
Speaking of Second City and theater and your process, and you were mentioning that Toastmasters has helped you, I have been curious to know a little bit more. And I know 2 months ago when you and I were talking offline, you were mentioning many of the things that you were doing, and you brought up Toastmasters, and you brought up if it hadn't been for Toastmasters, you would not have been able to do those things in your career. So here's my next question for you, and that is, how has Toastmasters helped you in your career endeavors? Give everyone some insight into that.
Well, it talks about how Toastmasters is where leaders are made. So anytime you are stepping on a platform, you are leading people by what you're sharing, what you're talking about, the value of your information. You're an influencer at that point. So it's just wonderful to have the foundation of what exactly does it mean to be a leader in Toastmasters, as well as finding your voice. That's one of our key selling points, is that it's an opportunity to come and find your voice, and I feel that I did that. When I first came to Toastmasters to speak, I'm just going to say the first time I came, I actually spoke that day, and my clothes were shaking. My heart was beating, but I could see my jacket quivering. That's how terrified I was to speak. So even here speaking with you right now, I'm amazed. I get a little tongue-tied. The nerves are there, but I've learned to get out of my head, quell my fear, and keep going. Because a lot of times people would say, I didn't even notice you were scared. I didn't even notice you were afraid. And that was such a perplexing thing to hear. I knew I was terrified, but they couldn't see sometimes when I was afraid. But what Toastmasters did is it gave me the opportunity to learn how to structure my ideas, my thoughts, so that I was able to stand and deliver a one-woman show, a full hour and a half, almost an hour and a half of speaking without any notes, and comfortable in delivering my message. That came from giving over 50-plus speeches in Toastmasters and learning that the key to overcoming your fear of public speaking is simply learning to calm your fears, calm your nerves, and practice. I remember Benita Barkley gave a speech called Practice, Practice, Practice. And it was, every time she said it in the room, it was practice, practice, practice. And she clapped, and everybody did the same. And involving the audience and learning how to engage the audience, use the room, use the floor, vocal variety. Oh, these things were right up my alley. So once I began to speak and use those tools, it really gave me the confidence that I'm so ready to do my one-woman show now, because I've had that opportunity to finding the tools that help the point land properly, how to use a pause and effect and those kinds of, there's so many things that I've learned, but I believe that the tools that were in each of the manuals that were a guide along the way helped me, and I'm still learning. I keep those manuals because I will go back to them and check my speeches against them to see how I'm using the floor, the size of the stage, engaging the audience, vocal variety, et cetera. So anyway, those things are the reasons that I believe I'm that much more confident going to the future, to the things I have planned.
Oh, awesome. You're getting great compliments in the chat box here. Rick Montgomery says, that is good. Wow, that is so good. He says, wow. And he was making references to when you were mentioning that manual and the things that you were learning. I know Linda put in the chat box, she says, right, Shannon, you have to make the butterflies fly in formation. And then there's one. Yeah, and that's what you've been demonstrating. You've been demonstrating making the butterflies fly in formation. You've also extended that to you've been making certain that you've been overcoming your fears as well. And there's one more comment, though, in the chat box, and this is from Ivory Gwen. And Ivory says, Shannon brought a lot to the table. Shannon brought a lot to the table. She has a lot of talent. Toastmasters just enhanced that talent.
Yes, you did. And you still do. I love Ivory. Thank you, Ivory. I appreciate you sharing that. And all I can say is I'm looking forward to what's ahead, and I believe that this next journey with Pathways is going to be something unique and different as well. So I'm glad to have finished in the traditional.
Yeah, tell us what you think will happen on your journey, because I've been curious now that Pathways is in place. And you've already earned your DTM with the traditional program, and you did it within 2 years. I know right now what I'm witnessing with members who are in Pathways and have been in Pathways since the inception of District 103 back in 2018. Several of them are DTMs now. And I recognize it took them 2 years to get a DTM when, like I said, I have 2 DTMs, and it took me 10 years for both. It's like, what? This Pathways program, you can get a Distinguished Toastmaster Award, the highest award a member can earn in much less time than the traditional program. That's amazing. Besides that being amazing just on the basic level, I'm curious in knowing, how are you using Pathways now? And the things that you're doing in your life or the things that you're doing in Toastmasters experience, have you found that the Pathways program has been beneficial for you?
I have not begun the new Pathways program. I finished the traditional, and I've been working on what I'm putting together so that I can make a living speaking now. I haven't really focused on training as much with the new Pathway, but I'm looking forward to it because of their different aspects of speaking that are going to come out through that new pathway of training in Toastmasters. So what I've been working on right now is my one-woman show, actually now pivoting and bringing that digital. I mean, I don't know who isn't pivoting right now with COVID-19. That has changed everything. Maybe I would have started Pathways by now, but I'm on a different journey trying to figure out how do I keep this message still going. What's my voice now that it's digital? I have to say, coming and doing speeches and speaking to my phone and to the screen, is very different than speaking to nodding heads and encouraging faces and laughing in the right spots. And it's a new world. I can't say that I feel the same about being confident when I step to the microphone and speak. So right now I feel that I'm training in the virtual world how to put those tools that I learned in the traditional path into speaking now. And I haven't done a whole lot of it. So now I'm preparing as we go into 2021 to do that more. I do hope that there are some aspects of pathways that will help me with the digital world of public speaking, because that's what we're doing now. We're in home studios, all my lights, my photography equipment's all set up in here. My living room basically is a studio right now, and it remains a studio all throughout the week. So I feel that with all the self-taping and all the things that my agency or whatever auditions and things come up, those have been a priority right now. That's a long answer, but that's where I am right now. But I am implementing what I learned in the traditional path.
Gotcha. And I understand about that pivot and needing to make a living, and having had that article that I wrote and submitted to Toastmasters International about my pivot due to COVID-19, having that article featured and realize, hey, I can write and get articles published in a Toastmaster magazine. That's why I thought I could write an article for you and highlight you and highlight the fact that Benita and Don were your mentors. And I just, of course, with 50 million things going on, did not have the opportunity to make the article come alive. But I thought there's so much to you that would be lost on paper. And that's why I wanted to make certain I did this live interview with you. Everyone, if you think the live interview is better than the article, go ahead and give me one of those reaction icons or put something in the chat box. As I said, for me, the article was a great idea. However, I'm thinking this is so much better. And I'm looking at all the reaction icons that are coming up. Everyone is agreeing with me on that. We're getting so much more from your experience just listening to you talk. And you mentioned, Shannon, a moment ago that you have a one-woman show. And, you know, when you and I talked, I laughed when you told me that you had that one-woman show, because you brought that one-woman show up right after you were talking about how fearful you was of being in Toastmasters delivering speeches, and how God told you not to run and come back. And it's like, wow, look at that full circle, or look at the transition, if you will, that transition that you had, where you now can do a one-woman show. And even in that conversation then, Shannon, you mentioned to me you would not have been able to do a one-woman show if you had not been involved with Toastmasters. Go ahead and share with everyone what inspired you to create a one-woman show, and let us know what that one-woman show is all about.
Thank you. Well, as far as the one-woman show, I've been doing voice characters for my kids, and I read stories, and one of them in particular, the elderly, I said, you know, I've been depriving the world of Hattie Mae Buford. I need to bring her out. And I was joking about that, but as I've been doing improv and on Second City with Jam Sandwich and different things, I would throw my characters in, and I realized how much I love the immediate feedback from those, and thought about how they could tell different aspects of my story. And it was always my plan all along to speak about my life and the experiences that I had growing up, et cetera. That was the one-woman show that was in progress. But at the time, I was working with Story Jam as one of the singers for Stephanie Rogers has a storytelling show that she would do called Story Jam, and I had an opportunity to hear people's stories, and I thought I'd really like to tell my stories in a way that it's sort of like a musical of my own life. And so what happened is there was a festival here in Rogers Park called Filet of Solo, and they heard about my one-woman show. They heard it, saw the outline of it, decided to allow me to be a part of their show. They selected me to be in the 2020 Filet of Solo. So I had to really hunker down and plan the show. So I talked with several different mentors. I even talked with my mentor, John Hildreth, at Second City, and he had talked to me about putting my story on cards and throwing them in the air where they land, pick them up and tell your story from that point. So I started developing this story, and I ended up weaving it together so that it had sort of a cliffhanger at the beginning, which I settled at the end. And a lot of those tools, like I said, along the way from my own one-woman show came from, again, those guides along the way. I took more of an artistic path in Toastmasters with the drama, with reading powerful stories or stories that you could show emotion in, and of course the drama of monologues and things like that. So I also used Toastmasters and melded it to my own agenda of what I wanted to accomplish, which also you see that showing up in the show in terms of how I land certain parts of my life where I pause longer so that they could really feel the gravity of an experience that happened to me in my life. So again, it actually provided flights around my show, is what I believe. So I hope that answers your question.
That is so cool. I am loving the fact that you were able to actually take what you learned from that storytelling advanced manual and all of those other advanced manuals, and starting with the foundation of the competent communication manual and transfer it over into your one-woman show. Did I hear you correctly, Shannon, earlier that you mentioned you were bringing the one-woman show online? Was that something I heard you say?
Well, what was wonderful is I did have the show recorded the second night because I felt I'd be over my nerves on the first night. The second night was wonderful. It was recorded live. I felt great about my performance. And thank God I did record it because I haven't been able to perform it since due to COVID. And I had an opportunity to edit the show, get it ready, all the different angles of the camera or views of cameras. And now it is on pay-per-view, but I haven't formally announced it. I just did a test run to make sure everything was working, but it is officially online and through my website, loveshannonexo.com. The player's there if someone wanted to go and see it. I still have the Cyber Monday right up there. I think I might leave it up one more day now that we're doing this interview. So, but it was really getting over the nerves of providing what is an intimate story for the masses to see. That really wasn't the plan with this. So I don't know where it's going to go now because I can't see the faces of those who might be seeing me speak. There's trepidation there, I have to say about that. But I feel good about the fact that my story is for the person that it's meant for. It's not for everyone. It's a story about overcoming. It's experiences that I had growing up and throughout my life. And it's been incredible, the feedback from people coming up to me afterward and divulging personal things about themselves as a result of hearing my story. So I'm feeling more and more confident that I'm going to go ahead and announce it and put it out there. But the goal is to perform it again now that I have all the elements and everything that I want in the theater that I want, and actually get that recording up after we return to performing live. But yes, and then also I'm going to be doing more live performance and things like that, so getting a studio set up so that it is professional and not more of a live or analog type setup is what I had before. So yeah, I'm pivoting in all those aspects right now.
Yeah, and speaking of live, I know recently when we had the unfortunate passing of Anthony Williams, who was a member of Maywood Toastmasters Club and Broadview Toastmasters Club, we were honored to have you sing for us live, and you moved everyone with the song that you sang in tribute of Anthony, or in tribute of Tony, as we called him. And something that you said just a moment ago made me realize the fact that you share your voice. You share your voice often, because when I was district director and we were doing the very last spring conference, that was the last spring conference, and I had brought in a jazz band to perform at the dinner, all of a sudden I hear this voice singing, and I'm thinking, I didn't bring in a vocalist too. Where'd they get a vocalist from? And I turned around, and there you were on the microphone, and you were jamming, sister. You had everyone going. The band member said to me later, who was that young lady? Did you know that young lady? I was like, well, she's a Toastmaster member. Of course I know her, but I didn't know she could blow like that. I understand you have a concert that is coming up soon where you are singing Aretha Franklin. It's an Aretha Franklin style Christmas or something like that. Can you tell us more about that? And maybe even tease us a little bit with some ditties.
Well, it's actually it's a Diva's Christmas, and it's Aretha Franklin kind of Christina Aguilera style type Christmas concert, just to spread some cheer. And Michigan Avenue Toastmasters, we had talked about doing it. It's going to be next weekend on the 18th, as well as there's some other dates that we are adding as we talk to a couple of different clubs. And then I have my own Christmas concert that I'll be doing that anyone can come to. It can host up to 100 people at a time. I'm adding dates as more people are coming on, but I definitely will have those to you as we talked about so they can go out to the district. But, you know, some of the songs are just Christmas songs with a little bit of jazz, a little bit of gospel vibe to it. You know, Aretha Franklin was jazzy, gospel, and R&B, and I just think that it's wonderful to be able to touch on all those types of aspects of singing. Here, I'll pull it up. You see. Now, this is the first time I've done a concert on free conference call. I am not sure how this is going to come. See, this is it. This is where I'm like, okay, we've got to get used to the different platforms to do this and see if it sounds right. And I have headphones on because I can't hear you unless I have these on. But once I sing, I'm going to need to take them off. So bear with me on how this goes because I'm going to need to hear my music and sing. So I'll give us a little sample of something. So let's do a test to see how this music sounds. If it's distorting or breaking up, you guys have to be my ears here because this is an impromptu sound check. This is what we have to do to make sure it's going to work for everybody. Can you hear me clearly from this microphone here? When I do this, can you hear this?
Yes. Yes.
You can hear
I hear that.
Is it distorted? Is it clear? La 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 la.
I can hear it. It's clear.
Okay. Now let's see what the music sounds like. Give me a thumbs up if you need more volume, thumb down if turn it down. One second. Thanks for bearing with me. Hold on. Again, we're live.
And this is what Toastmasters do, right?
Right. I saw it like getting ready to cut off, so thanks for bearing with me. Hold on. I'm going to have to make sure of first. Thanks for bearing with me.
Shannon, you just muted yourself. Unmute. While she's preparing that, everyone, give me a reaction icon if this has been informative for you, if you've been enjoying this interview so far. And you can either give it a thumbs up icon, a reaction icon, or you can put something in the chat box. I know that we'll be closing out momentarily. I'm going to go a few moments extra because I ended up losing my sound. So I want to make certain that we can at least close on hearing the voice that I heard that I had an opportunity to hear in 2 different occasions off the cuff, if you will.
Okay, so I'm going to take my headphones off. I'm hoping you can hear me because I have to hear the music.
We can hear you.
All right. Can you hear that?
Yeah, we can. Yes.
Have you said a merry old Christmas? Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles troubles will be outside. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, like Toastmasters, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together. It's the fate of life. Hang a shining starlight. Yourself a merry little Christmas.
Hey!
Oh,
Yes, that was so awesome. I am reaching for my icon. I'm seeing reaction icons coming up right now. People are giving you hand claps, the thumbs up, 3 claps, the thumbs up, wonderful in the chat box on the screen. Thank you so much, Shannon.
This is the first time I'm using this mic, and this is the first time I'm doing this type of arrangement with it. So could you hear clearly? Could you hear it clearly?
I could hear it. Yes, I could hear it. And of course, different, like you said, we have to get used to different platforms. This is a different platform for me as well. We've been using Zoom a lot, although this was the platform I was using for this particular program before COVID-19 happened and Zoom became the genes of the, of the day.
I know, right? Totally. Well, this definitely was a great experience. You did a great job. I want to thank you for having me as a part of your web series and give me this opportunity to sing for this web series and also for the conference, the concert rather. Getting mixed up here. The concert that we're going to be doing, I'm looking forward to really just sharing some cheer because of all that's going on. It's an opportunity for us to dress up. Well, actually, we're wearing ugly sweaters, by the way. I'm giving prizes to whoever has the ugliest sweater. So we're dressing up in ugly sweaters, bringing our champagne, our wine, whatever it is that we have, and talk about memories of the year, as well as me preparing a set of wonderful songs for you all for several different concerts. So thank you again for putting this wonderful series together. Diva of Dialogue. And we both coordinated with our members. That's my new black for me always.
There we go. Right. I figured I had to be more diva this time than I normally am. I'm usually the diva of dialogue, using divine inspiration vocally applied to educate and empower for personal growth and career
success.
I love
that.
But I decided to be a little bit more connected to you because you're the diva. We came in with the hat. I'd have to get a hat. But I really, Shannon, I really appreciate you sharing more about the concert. And when you send the details, everyone, you know that I'm going to send you the recording for this seminar or for this series, and recognize that I'm not making any edits to it. We were live. It was real. You're getting it all. So that means by tomorrow afternoon, you're going to receive the recording, and that way you can relive all of what Shannon shared. You can also share it with members of your club. If you find any portions of it inspirational that your guests could listen to, I say feel free to use it as a tool to help with membership building, membership retention, because she did share a lot of her journey that I think new members and seasoned members can benefit from. And I'm also going to make certain when she sends me the details on her concert, she will, Shannon, you'll make sure that the details are there, like the Zoom links, and if there is a cost and all of that, you'll make sure that's all there, correct? You're muted.
All
Thanks,
right.
Don.
And I'm muting. Okay. Yes, we will have those out tomorrow. The flyer, everything's ready to go out tomorrow. We'll make sure those go out. The district can send out for the district, and then we have the dates that will, the platform will be Zoom, and I will have the password and everything for everyone for that.
Okay, great. I will make certain that, okay. So that is all there. Now, definitely the flyer is going to everyone that was on this call. I'll work and see if Valerie Smith, our public relation manager, and our district director, Joe McCarty, would be open to sending that concert information to everyone. So let me make certain I'm clear, Shannon. The concert is open to all Toastmasters, or is it a Toastmaster concert for Michigan Avenue Toastmasters?
Michigan Avenue Toastmasters is hosting. There are 100 openings for the tickets for that night, and that is going to be December 18th. And then we're also looking at one for the 19th. So what I would say is the specific dates will all be on there. It'll be the same exact Zoom. You can just pick which one you want to come to.
Okay, nice. So as a Toastmaster family, we can all hang out at Shannon's concert if we have the opportunity to. Shannon, before we go, I'm just simply perusing the chat box here, and I want to make sure that I share with you some of the final comments that came in. We got Go Shannon that came in from Jerry Tucker. Susie said, thank you for a great gathering. You're welcome. And then Tam said, wow, that was beautiful. I think it's Jaliba. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, Jaliba, but there was a round of applause for that. Timothy Carr says, nice. Herbert says, incredible. Rick says, Shannon is talented, smart, and I like her energy. It's good to be a Toastmaster member. Well, Rick, I'm thinking if you like what you heard tonight, you better be on that concert and bring some fellow Toastmasters with you as well.
And wear your ugly sweater.
Right. Wear that ugly sweater. And then Tina closed out the box for us with great. And then Don said, nice job, many thanks.
Thank you.
Nice job, Shannon. Many thanks to you for allowing me to feature you. And I also say nice job, everyone, for dedicating the time to be with me tonight for this kickoff episode of the District 103 Senior Advisor Webinar Series. And this was an interview with a diva featuring Shannon Wright, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Shannon, much love to you. I look forward to getting the flyer details. And everyone, oh, you're so welcome, Herbert. Thank you.
Much love
I
to
appreciate.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I thank you all. Everyone, have a good night. Stay safe. And until we see each other next time, enjoy that next Toastmaster meeting.
All right.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Tina.